to the Blowhorn Fans cast. I'm Don.
I'm Brett.
And today we are talking NFL Hall of Fame, NFL playoffs, lots of NFL to be had today.
Yep, you remember last week's MLB Hall of Fame. Now we get to see what we think about the NFL Hall of Fame. Our 5 picks for this week. Let's go.
Yes, we both chose 5 players out of the 15 modern era finalists for the Hall of Fame here.
Would you like to start this time, Don?
Sure, I will start us off. The first guy on my list here is a defensive back, 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, second-team All-Decade for the 2000s, 5-time Pro Bowler, Rondé Barber of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played 1997 to 2012. He is the only player in NFL history with 40-plus interceptions and 25-plus sacks. He is also one of only 8 players this century to have had a 10-plus interception season. Yes, that's the basics hits with him, right?
Okay.
He is also an Ironman. He played 215 consecutive starts, which is the 7th longest streak in NFL history.
Wow.
And he was a part of the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rondé Barber, John Lynch, Derek Brooks, and Warren Sapp, that was his studded defense. Those are all Hall of Fame quality players. Those other guys are in the Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. Rondé Barber should be joining him. That defense, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, is the 5th highest graded defense of all time by Dova. And he was a shutdown corner on that team. He wasn't some nobody. Plus, he has probably one of the most memorable playoff moments of the last 25 years when he shut down the link for the Eagles in 2002. During that 2002 playoff run, Philadelphia Eagles, they're hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a chance to go to the Super Bowl on the line. And Rondé Barber picks off Donovan McNabb to close the door on an Eagles comeback, and the Buccaneers would go on 2 weeks later, of course, to beat the Raiders and win the Super Bowl. He's an incredible player and deserves any recognition given to him.
Okay. How does the NFL Hall of Fame work? We talked about last week, you need 75% of the vote with baseball and people sending their ballots. Is the NFL the same way, or how does
the NFL Hall of Fame, you have to have been retired for at least 5 years to be eligible, and then you're eligible for 20 years. You get 20 years to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, right? To be eligible to be nominated, you have to have had at least 1 Pro Bowl or 1 All-Pro selection in your career. And anybody can nominate. You and I could send a letter to the Hall of Fame and they'd put him on as one of the nominees, as long as they meet the Pro Bowl or All-Pro criteria.
Okay.
There are 48 writers that are on the NFL's Hall of Fame committee, basically. These 48 writers, there's 1 writer from each of the NFL teams, and then there are 16 at-large national level guys that are the 48 writers that make up the committee, right? So every team at least has a voice at the table. These 48 writers basically will look at all of the nominees. Usually it's 1 to 200 players get nominated, right?
Okay.
They will make a semifinalist list of about 25. Then, a few months after that, they will have to cut down their list to a finalist list of 15 finalists. And then of those 15 finalists, they'll meet shortly before the Super Bowl, and they will deliberate amongst themselves all in person, and they will pick the top 5. Those 5 then will each individually face a up-down vote of yes or no, and they have to hit at least 75% of the vote, of that yes or no vote. There are plenty of times where fewer than 5 modern-era players have gone in because someone failed a yes-no vote.
All right, so my turn, or?
Yeah, unless you have anything to say about Rondé Barber.
Truth be told, when it comes to football, the whole anything prior to 2010, very iffy for me.
Okay.
Or when the Packers first started, I know like a bunch about that, but
right.
Go Pack Go. So my first player is going to be, I'm going to say his name wrong, won't I? Andre Johnson?
It is Andre Johnson.
Awesome.
Yeah. I also had Andre Johnson on my list.
You see, we just picked the same characters same players so that you get less people to talk about. I'm going to say my spiel. Truth be told, like I said, I am horrible when it comes to football stats because I don't know what I'm entirely looking at. But he's wide receiver, so I can tell you that 70 touchdowns is a lot. Mm-hmm. He was in the NFL, so like the average like wide receivers don't stay in the NFL very long, do they? It's what is it?
It's short. I don't know
short,
what the number is.
And he was in there for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty long amount because I think we talked about this a while ago. Wide receivers are in usually on average 8, or is it less? Less.
I don't know the exact number, but I think it's somewhere around 4 or 5.
Okay, so this guy tripled.
Yeah.
Practically tripled the amount of length of time that he was in there. Even though in 2016 he played only half the games, like that's still a lot.
Yeah, 193 games is quite a few games.
He was in a lot of games. He stayed relatively healthy, it looks like. He just, look at those numbers. I don't know.
I can contextualize some of those numbers for you.
Thank you.
His 1,062 receptions, 11th all time. His 14,185 yards, 11th all time. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time second-team All-Pro, a 3-time first-team All-Pro selection. He led the league in receptions twice, and he led the league in receiving yards twice. I think the argument with Andre Johnson, right, is that there are 3 wideouts. There are 3 wide receivers on the finalist list here. Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, and Andre Johnson. And Andre Johnson's in his first year on the ballot, whereas Reggie Wayne is on his 3rd year on the ballot, I believe. Torrey Holt's on his 8th year on the ballot. And so people are like, well, why not these other 2 guys? I'll tell you why. While Torrey Holt has a second-team All-Decade, and Andre Johnson did not make an All-Decade team, it's fair to note that he played 03 to, 2015? He didn't play all of either decade, and so he kind of gets screwed on the All-Decade selection, whereas Torrey Holt played 1999 to 2009, right? Reggie Wayne didn't play all the decade and put up similar numbers but more touchdowns. Andre Johnson can't help the teams he was on. The best quarterback Andre Johnson played with was Matt Schaub, and Matt Schaub was good for 2 years. It's terrible list of players, and he put up numbers comparable to these guys. In fact, if you look at Andre Johnson's time with the Texans, and just the Texans, so 03 to 2014, right? You exclude his last 2 years when he was an old man.
Okay.
From 03 to 2014, his numbers in Houston are better on a per-game basis than Torrey Holt or Reggie Wayne. I mean, they're outright better than Reggie Wayne, and it's not even, particularly close. At least with Torrey Holt, it's close between the 2 of them. But the guy's an incredible player, and I perhaps low-key think he's actually the best wideout eligible for the Hall of Fame. I really do. I think all 3 of those guys deserve to make it, but I think Andre Johnson's the best of the group.
That's what I thought so too. At least when I looked with what a little knowledge I knew. He was my first one on my list, so caught my eye somehow.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's what I had to say because I was looking at the numbers and I was like, those are high numbers. But I'm glad you got to pitch in on that as well.
Yeah.
What is your second person on your list?
Well, technically third, because I also had Andre Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I will go with my other guy I feel was a first ballot Hall of Famer, DeMarcus Ware. He was a linebacker / defensive end with the Cowboys and Broncos between 2005 and 2016. Okay? He made it to the Pro Bowl 9 times. He was a 3-time second-team All-Pro, a 4-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-2000s, led the NFL in sacks multiple seasons, posted 138.5 sacks in the NFL, okay? That's an impressive figure. To kind of show how impressive that number is, on the official sacks leaderboard, that puts him 9th all-time in career sacks. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's very good. That's more than That's more than almost every Hall of Famer in. I mean, what else? He was also a part of the 2015 Broncos. Okay, him and Von Miller are that linebacking core on that 2015 Broncos team, which had a dominant defense. That was a top 20 defense all time, and he was captain on it.
That's insane.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. I suppose really the only knock on him is, do you want him in as a first team, like a first ballot Hall of Famer? I think that's really your only knock against him. Because while these are Hall of Fame numbers, are they first ballot Hall of Fame numbers?
What would you say? Would you say he'd be first ballot?
I would put him in first ballot.
Put him in first ballot?
I think he's, of all of the first year eligible guys, I think he's easily the strongest case.
All right. Even more than Andre Johnson?
Yes.
Wow. All right. Anything else you would like to talk about?
No, I think I'm good.
Would you like to talk about your next person, since I knocked off one person from your list already?
Sure.
Well, I just keep naming them off, and I just knock them all off your list. I feel like it'd be like last week all over again, but less controversial so far. No determination about why somebody shouldn't be in here.
Right.
I should just say no to your next one.
Okay, my next guy here. Do I think he's one of the 5 best people on this top 15 list? No, but I do think that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think that if we keep waiting, he's a guy that could kind of disappear out of it. I understand that 82% of players who are finalists multiple times do eventually make the Hall of Fame. But I am a little bit worried about the guy because he's been retired a while. It keeps getting passed on. And that's Richard Seymour.
Dang, I actually picked him too.
Yeah.
He was going to be the last one I talked about, but...
Yeah, he played 2001 to 2008 with the Patriots, and then 2009 to 2012 with the Raiders, playing primarily defensive tackle when he was in Oakland, and primarily defensive end when he was in New England. Though he spent plenty of time at both, right? He's a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time second-team All-Pro, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and was first-team All-2000s. He's the only member of the first-team All-2000s defense that is both not in the Hall of Fame and eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. Because, of course, I believe Dwight Freeney is also first-team All-Decade, but he isn't eligible until 2 years from now.
Okay.
First off, he punched Ben Roethlisberger in the face. Yeah.
That should just get you in the Hall of Fame,
right?
On its own.
I think the biggest things with Richard Seymour is that when we talk about the Patriots' first dynasty, a lot of times nowadays we really talk about how Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 years, right? Okay, 2001 to 2004, those 3 Super Bowls they won, they were largely won by the defense. And Richard Seymour, Ty Law, Lawrence Malloy, those are the guys that really captained that defense. I mean, Richard Seymour was causing issues every year from 01 to 04. I mean, right out of the gates. He posted a 16 adjusted value in 03, which is pretty damn good. Add in the fact that he was great in the playoffs, and you've got a guy who won 3 rings and was a cornerstone on those defenses. And towards the end of his ride in New England, he was a part of the 07 Patriots. Yeah, he suffered an injury that knocked him out for about half the season, but he did come back for the playoffs, and he was a contributor on that playoff team. The 07 Patriots are the greatest team I've ever watched since I've been watching football, and by Dova, they're the second highest graded team of all time. What more can you want from a guy? He doesn't have the flashiest numbers, because I'll give you that. 57.5 sacks, 300 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. Those aren't great numbers, but I feel like it really doesn't capture how impactful of a player he was.
How do you get it to become a half a sack?
When 2 people get a sack or kind of meet at the same time, they half it.
Well, what about 3? Would it be a third?
No.
How about 4? Would it be a quarter?
No, they just credit 2 guys.
What if the whole team sacks the quarterback?
I'm just saying the first 2 guys there get credit.
Okay. I wish we could go into that.
It's why TJ Watt tied the NFL sack single season sack record, the official one, with 22.5 sacks this year. I say official because we all know the unofficial leaderboard is the true leaderboard. Because people went back and they looked play by play all the way back through 1960, I think. And so they have official sack numbers for those guys, but the NFL doesn't recognize it because the NFL didn't start tracking it until 1982.
Wow.
Yeah.
All that good 70s year when the Packers weren't good.
All that, so many good players that get left out because of that. What are your thoughts on him?
What are my thoughts of him? Well, literally looked at his numbers, got confused about the half, but I was like, okay, so like he stayed with the New England for like a very long time, and yeah, like I was looking at all that, and yeah, like he, like when you look at the numbers, it's there, but like I recognize the name, and a lot of these are recognizing the names, and I'm like, okay, if I heard the name back when I was in school way back when, he must have been pretty big. Of course, he during that time he was also even though he wasn't on the offense, he was on the defense of Tom Brady, right? Yeah. So that's clear that. Also, I saw the 7-time Super Bowl once again, Tom Brady, but still, like if you had like an insane offense but like a horrible defense, you're still gonna lose.
Yeah, you don't win rings without at least an okay defense. I know that the world's changed and you don't need a great defense to win championships anymore, but you still need at least a solid one.
Without even like an alright defense, there's no way to do it.
I actually did that before the 2019 Super Bowl, the Chiefs and 49ers. I looked back, and if I remember correctly, of the 56 Super Bowl winning teams, or 55 Super Bowl winning teams, right? Because this is Super Bowl 56, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't even know anymore.
I think this is Super Bowl 56. The logo confuses me. Yeah, it's Super Bowl 56.
This is the palm trees one, isn't it?
Yeah. Of the 55 Super Bowls played, right? Of those 55 Super Bowl winning teams, I want to say it's something like 4 had a defense ranked below 16th in the league. So you need to have at least an average defense.
Yeah.
Or have Peyton Manning, or have an all-time great quarterback, or have at least an average defense.
Yeah, I'd recommend having an average defense instead of just banking on your quarterback, because then they're going to get injured, and
then you turn out like the Packers.
I'm not even going to say anything to that one because it's true. Hey, I really believe in Love this year.
Jordan Love.
I believe he's going to be an okay quarterback.
Okay. I was going to say, if you think he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah, Jordan Love is just going to just like come out of nowhere next year and just become the greatest quarterback of all time. Please don't quote me on that.
Take that out of context all you want.
This is what Brett said. He's the dumb one of the pair.
But yeah, go ahead and go with your next guy.
All right, my next one. We actually name dropped him earlier. Reggie Wayne.
Okay.
Yep, Reggie Wayne. I did see his stats and I was like, oh my goodness. Let's see here. He played 2001 to 2014, which is also an extremely long time to be in the career. Because once again, we say they don't really have a very long. Wide receivers really don't have a very long career.
They don't have a long career, but I don't know if I would say that's an extremely long career.
Well, I don't know what the longest one is, but
Jerry Rice is the longest
for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
How long was that?
Jerry Rice played from 1985 to 2004.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he played 20 years. Being the best player of all time. Is how you do that.
Let's see here. But yeah, like overall, like he just like threw up the numbers. Like his catch percentage is 62. I don't know what the average for a wide receiver is. When you're getting like coverage on you and you catch it like 60% of the time, that's pretty well.
Yeah, my only detraction to Reggie Wayne,
okay,
is that for a bulk of his career, from 01 to 08, he was receiver 2 on the Colts.
Who's only the second receiver?
Because Marvin Harrison, a Hall of Famer, was playing on the other side.
His first 3 years, he had below 1,000 yards for,
Yeah.
But after, 2004, it was at least 1,000, and then 2007, 1,500.
Yeah. 1,500 yard, 10
petered out
touchdown a year.
the last 2 years. But
He never really had to deal with bad quarterback play. You look at his career, 01 to 2010, he's playing with Peyton Manning. 2011, he's playing with garbage. And 2012 to 2014, he's playing with Andrew Luck.
so you think he's only good because he had a good quarterback? Or are you saying that helped him be good?
I think that it elevated him from a guy that probably would have just been Hall of Very Good to, probably eventually Hall of Fame.
But if we use that as a reference, we could have like a Hall of Fame wide receiver out there with a very, very awful, horrible quarterback, because there are
Andre
those out
Johnson.
there.
Andre Johnson. He had 2 years of Matt Schaub and half a season of Andrew Luck. That's what he got. He got terrible play. He had Sage Rosenthal throwing him the ball and David Carr. Like, these are terrible players.
I wish there was a way for us to find out how good a player would be with different circumstances.
Yeah.
But we do not. Hey, you should make an AI to do this. I know you know how to do that. Make an AI to test this out. Remember, like, the Rocky movie where they have an AI show old Rocky defeat that young player?
Yeah, and then he comes out of retirement and barely loses to the young guy. The
Which
young
is-
guy really takes that as a big win.
Yeah, that'd be like, name an old football player right now.
Lance Allworth,
What position is he?
a wide receiver.
Okay, and him playing against Reggie Wayne, or who's young, well-known wide receiver right now.
Justin Jefferson.
Okay, have those two compete against each other, and Justin Jefferson just barely loses too, or just barely wins to that.
Barely wins. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be sad.
Yeah.
How old is
Justin Jefferson or Lance Allworth?
Lance Allworth?
I don't even know if he's still alive.
Oh well, that'd be a whole new level of.
No, he's alive. He's 81.
Yeah. Just Jefferson lost to that, or one just barely.
Just barely beat that.
Yeah. That's the Rocky movie in a nutshell. Well, the Rocky 4, right, or 3?
Rocky 6.
Rocky 6.
Yeah.
I get them all mixed together. I know he took down. the Soviet
Rocky
Union.
1 is his initial.
Yeah,
where he
Rocky
loses to
1.
Creed.
Rocky 2, he
beats Creed.
Spoilers to everyone listening.
Rocky 3, he beats Clubber Lang.
Oh,
Rocky
okay.
4 is the Yes America one.
Yes, America. He takes down the USSR single-handedly.
It single-handedly ends the Cold War.
He single-handedly ends the Cold War.
Reagan really screwed him. Not crediting him for that. 5 is the one where he coaches the kid Tommy Gun, and it's terrible.
Oh, that was a terrible one. Yeah.
And then 6 is the video game one.
Was that called Rocky?
That was called Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa. Right.
Yeah, and then they made Creed 1 and 2, which are both pretty good.
Okay, I've yet to actually see Creed. What happened to talking about football?
I don't know. We talked about boxing.
Possible. We have to.
Possible.
We do have to bring up boxing in the future. I am hoping for heavyweight championship rematch. But that is another day to talk about that.
So
that's Reggie Wayne.
That's Reggie Wayne.
Who's next on your list?
Well, we would be hitting my final guy. A guy who has waited quite a while, actually. It's his 9th year of eligibility. Zach Thomas, linebacker. He played for the Dolphins from 1996 to 2007, and then he spent 2008 in Dallas. The guy amassed 1,720 tackles, 20.5 sacks, 17 picks, 17 forced fumbles, 8 fumble recoveries, a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time second-team All-Pro, a 5-time first-team All-Pro, a second-team All-2000s, a 2-time Linebacker of the Year, and was AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year back in 96. How is this guy not in the Hall of Fame?
What year is he on right now for the ballot?
He's on his 9th year.
9th year?
9th year.
They must have really not liked him. Did he do anything in his regular life?
No, he did not. He's a very normal guy. He amassed all these stats. I mean, he amassed 5 first-team All-Pros playing in the same era as Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher, who were both first-ballot Hall of Famers with very similar resumes. If you put Brian Urlacher and Zach Thomas's careers next to each other, they look almost identical. Urlacher was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Zach Thomas is still waiting.
Wow, poor Zach Thomas.
I honestly think a lot of it has to do with the lack of playoff success.
Yeah, but that's not on him.
That's not on him. It's a team game. I mean, it's not his fault. He played in 8 playoff games his whole career. You can't blame the guy. He had aging Dan Marino, and then he had Jay Fiedler for a couple years. Like, that's not the best situation to be in. I'm shocked that the guy has had to wait this long.
I almost feel like this is the reason why I like baseball more, because this guy got gypped.
Yeah. He's absolutely been getting gypped. He's on his 9th year on the ballot. It's only his 3rd time as a finalist. 3 times he's even been a finalist for the award. He didn't even become a finalist until 2020 when Bill Belichick wrote a letter in his support. And that got him from semifinalist perennially to finalist.
Wow.
It's incredible to me that he has avoided the Hall of Fame this well. All right, hit me with your next guy.
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. I love Jared Allen.
Do you love Jared
I
Allen?
really do.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah. The thing that drew me into Jared Allen, that sounded really weird.
Into his loving arms.
Into his
6'6", 270
Have you
arm.
seen that photo that they have on Pro Football Reference? That smile? Just a kind smile. Jared Allen! Alright. So anyways, look at his sack. He's a defensive end. Look, that's sack, right? I'm reading that right?
Yes.
That is sack of 136.
Yep.
That is insane.
That's a very high total.
Because he's been in the NFL for 11 years, correct? Or, yeah? Or no? Yeah,
he played a 13-year career.
13-year career. Yeah.
No, Chicago and Carolina is the same year.
Yeah, that's actually a weird way to put that.
11-year career, yeah.
Yeah, 11 years. 11 years. He threw up those numbers. It looks like he stayed in almost every single game throughout the whole entire season.
Yeah.
Like each season, maybe missing a here and there, but like stayed healthy. He threw up all those sacks. I mean, like, yeah. This guy is, what year is he in? I actually have no idea.
Jared Allen is in his 2nd year of eligibility.
Wow, I mean, like...
He is 12th all-time in sacks on the official leaderboard.
He has a touchdown.
He has the NFL record for most career safeties.
Really?
Yep.
Look at that. His jersey number is good old 69.
69, baby.
He played for Minnesota for a while there.
Yeah, he had a 22 sack season in Minnesota. It's the franchise record, and it's the 2nd most all time.
Crazy.
For a 4th round pick to come out there and do that.
I know, this guy is just extremely impressive.
He was on that 2009 Vikings team that came so close to a Super Bowl appearance.
I was paying you.
Yeah. He was also part of that 2015 Panthers team that lost the Super Bowl to the Broncos that year.
That pains me for Jared Allen.
Yeah, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time First Team All-Pro, just consistently great player.
Yeah, it's just like seeing all these stats is expect him to end up in the Hall of Fame.
I would too.
I would be very upset if I don't see that happen.
Yeah.
I would say this thing's rigged.
My only worry about him making it this year is I feel like him and DeMarcus Ware played very similar games. And DeMarcus Ware did have more career sacks.
Wow. Somebody broke that 136.
So,
not a fan.
He may have to wait another year, which is a shame because he is. Let me tell you, as someone who started watching football in 2006, like those are prime young me years for watching the Vikings. Jared Allen was one of my favorite players. I definitely have really just great player. Really enjoyed it.
What a good time to watch a regular season of the Vikings. Just
even the playoffs. Season. I mean, we had some okay playoff success while he was here. At least through 2012. The team was horrid in 2013.
I was gonna be like that's when he left, but no, he left in 14.
Yeah, his last year here we went 3-13, which is the worst record in franchise history.
He probably wanted to get out of there anyway.
Yeah, I imagine he was looking for a ring and not a rebuild. Which I don't know why he picked Chicago if that was the case.
Sweet home Chicago, I guess. Where's this guy from? Not Chicago.
No, he's
from Dallas.
Really?
Yep, Dallas, Texas.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's cool. Anyways, Who's your next person on your
We
list?
hit all 5 of my guys.
You hit all 5 of yours, so I get to say my final one. Once again, I think I'm going to just like every week, if we like have to pick something, I'm going to pick at least one biased thing. Leroy Butler. Leroy Butler. Why would I pick Leroy Butler? Because he played for the Green Bay Packers. DB for the Green Bay Packers from 1990 to 2001. Truth be told, yes, most of my reasons was because he was a Packer. Interception return, like 533 yards with that. Wow, look at that. 38 interceptions.
38 picks is impressive.
It is. 1 touchdown. I mean, it seems like he'd almost have more with that. But yes, he did get a pick 6 once.
Yep.
Which is fun to say. He got a Super Bowl. Because
he was with
Favre.
Favre in the Packers back then.
Yeah, back in the grand old days of the 90s. So, yeah, it's like he's a 4-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro.
First team All-Pro.
First team All-Pro. Thank you for...
He was also... He's also the only member of the 1990s first team All-Decade defense not in the Hall of Fame.
You see, it's insane. He deserves...
In fact, one of the second team All-Decade safeties has gotten in front of him.
What? How is that fair? This guy deserves it. Even his picture is saying, why am I not in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, do you know what the really famous thing he invented was?
No idea.
He invented the Lambeau Leap.
What? I thought they invented the Lambeau Leap like back in the 70s.
No. He invented
Leroy Butler?
Leroy Butler invented the Lambeau Leap.
I remember when I went into the because in Green Bay you can actually go through the Packers museum, and it's like the coolest thing ever. And really, let's see here. Yeah, wow, cool. Okay, so there's another reason to pick him. I thought it was invented way before that.
No,
because it seems like it was like around forever.
It definitely feels like it because it's one of the most iconic celebrations.
It really is. They actually have a statue of him up. I don't know if have you ever been to Lambeau?
I have not been to Lambeau.
So anyways, there's this wall that's the size of the wall for like the Lambeau Leap.
Yeah.
And there is a statue of him, like, or maybe, I don't know if you'd call it anything else, a bust, I don't know, of him diving into the crowd and sitting up there, and you're like, This is the coolest thing ever. One of my favorite sports museums I've ever been to. So, yes, it is iconic. I know you're not a Packers fan, but I wholeheartedly recommend you going there.
Yeah, it's shocking how long he's had to wait.
I know.
It's his 16th year of eligibility.
It was biased for me to pick him, but like when I literally pulled up his Wikipedia page to look into this because I was like, I want to learn more about Leroy Butler. There are a few Packers that I absolutely love just out of random time frames. Fuzzy Thurston's one of them. Bart Starr, just because it's Bart Starr. Let's add Leroy Butler to that list as well. I'd say Brett Favre because my name is Brett, and I'm pretty sure that's why I'm named Brett. But I think just picking a quarterback is kind of cliche.
There's also no quarterbacks in the finalists this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I will be very upset if Leroy Butler does not get in.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll put in at least one of him or Rondé Barber.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a bias of quarterbacks getting all the glory.
There absolutely is. I absolutely believe that there's a bias for quarterbacks and running backs in the NFL Hall of Fame. I feel like they have a much lower bar to get in.
I think you should protest it in front of the Hall of Fame. I won't join you, but you can totally do it.
Sounds fun.
It sounds fun, exactly. Join Don to protest in front of the Hall of Fame on
Yeah, well,
what day is this supposed to be done? Right before the Super Bowl, or
they announced the class the day before the Super Bowl.
Okay, so
they meet. Oh, I didn't know that. They meet January 18th, but they don't release the results until the day before the Super Bowl.
You got 3 days, so by the time this comes out, you're going to be way past.
Yes.
So Don, you're going to be alone.
That's fine.
Okay.
My cause is just.
Your cause is just. Maybe you can get others along the way.
Right.
But yes, that is my final pick of that, and I learned something new today, and I'm just happier about learning that it's Leroy Butler, and I just like gravitated toward this character.
Yeah.
Picking him.
Yeah.
So it was just it's just meant to be for me to remain a Packers fan forever. Even if after Aaron Rodgers leaves, we're not as good, I will still love Go Pack Go. Anyways.
So let's talk the other guys on the ballot. The ones we didn't pick.
Yes. Let's talk about them. You have their list up, correct? Because every time I try to pull my list up, ESPN keeps shouting at me.
We got Willie Anderson. He was a right tackle for the Bengals from 96 to 07 and played 2008 with the Ravens at right tackle. He started 184 games, played in 195, had 170 career-adjusted value, was a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and a 1-time second-team All-Pro. He also only gave up 16 sacks in his entire career.
Wow.
He gave up 16 sacks, and he was only penalized 39 times.
All right, this person, your point of view, will he get certain votes, or are you thinking future Willie Anderson in the Hall of Fame?
I wonder about him because he is already in his 9th year of eligibility.
Oh, wow.
This is the first time he's been a finalist.
For only the first.
Only the first time. And we have a strong slate of first-year eligible players coming in next year.
So it seems like it's either this year
or he'll have to wait a few more years. Because next year, Joe Thomas becomes available, Nick Mangold, Jason Witten, Dwight Freeney, James Harrison, Antonio Cromartie, Cam Chancellor, and Darrell Revis. Revis and Thomas are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. And the rest of these guys have very strong Hall of Fame cases. I definitely could see Anderson getting bumped from the finalist group for at least a couple of years. I do think this is a year he really has to push to try to get in. And the thing is, I don't even think he's the best O-lineman in this group. Because the other O-lineman that's a finalist here is Tony Baselli.
All right, what does Tony Baselli got over him?
He is much like Justin Morneau. High peak.
Gotta bring that
high
up.
Peak, short career.
I see.
He played from 95 to 02. He played 95 to 01 with the Jaguars, and he spent 02 with the Texans, although he never played it down with the Texans as he spent the entire year dealing with an injury that ended up ending his career.
Oh, that's a bummer. What was that injury?
I do not remember.
Oh, come on, Don.
Let me pull it up for you. Tony Baselli was a 5-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Decade for the 1990s. For a guy who only played half the decade, it is incredibly impressive.
Knee injury.
A knee injury?
That's what I found.
Yeah. He has been a preliminary nominee every year since he's been eligible. Boselli has been. He has been a finalist now 6 years in a row. He has made it to the finalist stage.
So it seems like it's his year to win.
This is a good year to get in. It's his 16th year of eligibility. So he's nearing the end of his eligibility run. He has been at least he's been a semi-finalist now 13 times, and he's been a finalist 6 times. If the Hall of Fame committee does not put him in over the next 5 years here, and he falls into the senior committee, that would be a damn shame. I don't like players with high peak, short careers, but I mean, come on.
You made that point
the NFL Hall of Fame is a lot more lenient than the MLB one, just on the practice of getting in multiple people every year, for sure.
Okay.
So it would be very disappointing if Baselli doesn't go in.
All right. Now, who is next on this list?
Next up, we have got our last first-year eligible player that became a finalist this year, Devin Hester.
All right.
The Windy City Flyer.
Chicago?
Yes. He played for the Bears from 2006 to 2012, or 2013, Falcons in 2014 and 15, and then the Ravens and Seahawks in 2016. He is a very special player. He's a very special case player because he was his case is on special teams.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we also don't like special teams apparently in the Hall of Fame.
They really don't. In the entire there are 0 gunners in the Hall of Fame. There are 0 returners in the Hall of Fame. There is 1 punter, and there are 2 kickers.
Yeah, very hated on.
They're very underrepresented. In fact, this year the two returners that always get talked about as Hall of Famers, for years we've talked about how Steve Tasker should be in the Hall of Fame. How they changed the rules of kickoffs because of Steve Tasker, and then they changed them again for Devin Hester. These are the two best returners of all time. And Steve Tasker, this was his 20th and final year of eligibility. He didn't make it past the semi. He was a semifinalist. He didn't make it to the finalist stage.
Wow.
So Tasker's gone. He's into the senior committee where they will probably never pick him.
Sad day.
It is. Devin Hester, 14 career punt return touchdowns, 5 kick return touchdowns, 4-time Pro Bowler, a second-team All-Pro, 3-time first-team All-Pro, a second-team All-Decade for the 2000s, and second-team All-Decade in the 2010s. And he was on the 100th anniversary team that the NFL did a couple of years ago. Devin Hester is one of, I believe Devin Hester is one of only like 12 or 15 players who have appeared on multiple All-Decade teams.
Wow.
It's an incredibly impressive feat he's done. And yeah, he was kind of not good as a receiver, and he was kind of terrible as a corner, right? He never found his place outside of special teams. But dude had a kick return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He was an electric player. He's the all-time leader in return touchdowns. And the all-time leader specifically of punt return touchdowns. He's an incredible player, and I definitely see the Hall of Fame case for him. I like the special teams guys. I want there to be more special teams guys in Canton.
Wow, you're going to turn them down right here.
So, no. That's why I like Devin Hester. He's not my favorite case here. And I think that if he wants to make the Hall of Fame, this arguably is the best year to do it for a few years here. It bodes well that he was a finalist here in his first year.
All right, yeah.
Any thoughts on Devin Hester?
Sounds like cool. I want more special teams in there because, yes, I do not like people underrepresented in any form of sports. That's the reason why one of these days I would like to talk about, since we're in America, sports we don't talk, like cricket.
Yes. Cheerleading.
That is going to be... Do you know anything about cheerleading?
No,
They do pyramids. I know there's competitions.
Yeah. I know Navarro is a good cheerleading school.
I do know a little bit about cheerleading.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, who is next on the list?
Well, next on the list is the last wide receiver that we didn't talk about here, Torrey Holt. Holt, 920 receptions, 13,382 yards, 74 touchdowns. Very comparable numbers to Johnson and Wayne, right? He was a second team All-Decade, 1 first-team All-Pro, though, only 1 second-team All-Pro, and 7 Pro Bowls. I don't want to be mean.
You're going to be mean, I can see it now.
But Torrey Holt's not as good as people talk about him.
Oh, really? Why is that?
He was the number 2 receiving option on the Greatest Show on Turf. I get that, right? I get he was an impressive player. But, I mean, really, he had 2 great seasons and then a few good ones. I actually don't think he's nearly as good as fans make it out. You know, people are shocked that he's on his 8th year of eligibility. But is it really that shocking that he hasn't made it to the Hall of Fame?
What is he missing?
He's missing a couple more years of elite production or being a bigger part of the 99 squad that won the Super Bowl. Like, he was on it, but he 700 yards, 6 touchdowns.
I see.
He wasn't the Torrey Holt he became. Because, yeah, he had some great seasons. 1,700, 12 touchdowns in 03. Like, that's phenomenal. And don't get me wrong. I'm plenty okay with Torrey Holt making the Hall of Fame. I just believe that he is overrated compared to Reggie Wayne and especially Andre Johnson. When Andre Johnson's putting up comparable numbers to you on a per-game basis, and you played with Mark Bulger and Kurt Warner, and he played with no one, I'm going to lean towards Andre Johnson.
All right. See here, how many more do we have left?
We have 3 more guys.
All right, let's check out who is next on this great list.
Well, next we got a guy on his last year of eligibility.
Ooh, come on. Who is it?
Sam Mills. He passed away in 2005. He's dead.
Oh, no.
That's just a first note.
That's sad.
Yeah, he was 45.
Way to bum me out.
Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah.
All right.
He also started his NFL career late. He started in 1986 at 27. And he retired in 1997 at 38. So a 12-year career. Played for the Saints and the Panthers. He was part of that Dome Patrol 90s Saints defense, right? His teammate Ricky Jackson made the NFL Hall of Fame a few years back now. Sam Mills, 1,300 tackles, 20 and a half sacks, 11 picks, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 1-time first-team All-Pro. I mean, I think Sam Mills' NFL stats are not enough to be a Hall of Famer.
Do you think, once again, he needs something more?
I think if Sam Mills... This is where the name of the Hall of Fame comes into play, Brett. The NFL Hall of Fame is called the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just professional football. It doesn't say the NFL Hall of Fame. Sam Mills, he started his career late in the NFL. He was 27, right?
Okay.
You know what league he was playing in? He was playing in the USFL. And the USFL wasn't some rinky-dink league like it probably is going to be when it comes on again this year, right? For that stretch, for a few years in the 80s, right, before Donald Trump drove it into the ground, and I'm not lying, Donald Trump drove it into the ground in the late 80s.
I did not know that.
It was a legitimate summer league. It was a serious, legitimate NFL competitor in the summer, okay? The USFL had guys like Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Thurman Thomas played in there. What's his name for the... Reggie White.
Reggie White was part of that?
Reggie White played in the USFL. If you include Reggie White's USFL numbers, he had more career sacks than Bruce Smith, the NFL all-time leader. But we don't include it, because the NFL doesn't count that. Even though they should, and especially the Hall of Fame should, because it's a pro Hall of Fame.
You're just counting Pond just because of the title of it.
Because of the name of the thing, Sam Mills should be a Hall of Famer. If you don't agree that the USFL stats should count, even though the USFL quality of play was pretty comparable to the NFL's, then no, Sam Mills isn't a Hall of Famer. If you're saying just NFL stats, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's the only finalist here I would say is not a Hall of Famer, if you don't count his USFL days. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about Sam Mills, so I'm kind of just letting you ramble it off, and I'm learning more stuff. Like, USFL, come on, AAF Fantasy.
AAF Fantasy, that was a mess.
Yep. I miss those days.
I do too. We should do a USFL Fantasy League.
When's that start up again?
I think it starts sometime this summer.
Awesome. Everybody join us on USFL and see how bad that goes.
Oh god, it's going to be terrible.
It will be terrible, but it's part of the experience. Alright, who is next?
Well, next up on the list is a linebacker. Exciting. He was drafted the same year as Adrian Peterson.
Really?
Yes. Defensive Rookie of the Year that year. 7-time Pro Bowler. 5-time First Team All-Pro. As well as a 1-time Second Team All-Pro. And he accomplished 5 First Team All-Pro, 7 Pro Bowls, and a Second Team All-Pro in an 8-year career.
Wow.
He was utterly dominant until injury in 2014, and the team kind of falling apart around him led him to retire young.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. He's only 36 now.
When he was 29 when he stopped.
He wasn't even 30 when he retired.
Wow.
He was a great player.
So is he another one of those, if he had a few more years, he would have totally made the list?
He would have been first ballot if he had made a few more years, yeah.
And, alright, so let's ignore that right now. Do you think he has a shot?
To make the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, he's a first year, right? Or
third year.
Third year.
Third year of eligibility. I would not be shocked if he made it in over Zach Thomas.
Really?
Yes. Zach Thomas is the Mr. Consistent. Patrick Willis was just really freaking good.
Just short in time.
For a short career. And unlike me, the NFL Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, does enjoy the high peak short career guys.
Okay.
And finally is another 49ers legend, Bryant Young. Bryant Young was a defensive tackle for the 49ers from 1994 to 2007. He spent his whole career there, played 208 games for him, amassed 89.5 sacks, over 500 tackles, 12 forced fumbles, 7 fumble recoveries, was a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time Second-Team All-Pro, 1-time First-Team All-Pro, and was Second-Team All-1990s. He was also the 1999 Comeback Player of the Year.
Wow.
He was As a rookie in 94, he stepped in and started on that 49ers defensive line and helped them win a Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
An immediate contributor, great player throughout the Steve Young and Jeff Garcia eras with the 49ers. What I will say about him is that he is pretty solidly below average amongst defensive tackles in the Hall of Fame. The PFF Hall of Fame monitor has him about 17. The average Hall of Famer at DT is a 116. He comes in at a 66. His most comparable person is in the Hall of Fame is Buck Buchanan, who was a 4-time first-team All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler, but amassed similar career-adjusted value and defensive stats, just had more accolades.
So, Hall of Fame worthy, yeah?
Yes, 89.5 sacks for a defensive tackle is really good.
But we didn't pick him because do you think it'll be a few more years, or...?
Yeah, he's in his 10th year of eligibility right now, and he's definitely very low on the Hall of Fame voters lists.
Okay.
This is his second time as a finalist, right?
They have 15 years, right? Or
20 years.
20 years. Oh, so he's got time still.
2020 was his first year as a finalist, and what's interesting is he was the only finalist from 2020 who didn't get in the Hall of Fame that got dropped moving to 2021.
Really?
He's back now in 22, but I definitely would say with the influx of high-quality players coming in next year, I wouldn't be shocked again if he doesn't get in the Hall of Fame this year. I wouldn't be shocked if he dropped again.
That's a bummer.
He's a Hall of Fame talent, but there's just a lot of really good players, and he's unfortunately going to likely get passed by a lot of them.
Makes sense. All right, so that's all of them. Maybe we should give our guesses. Maybe not for playoffs, because this weekend we might have overshot, and anybody listening to this would be like, these guys are taking guesses on a weekend already done. So maybe we should just...
Okay.
Let's hear who's left, because recently we watched the Raiders-Bengals game.
Yes, Bengals beat the Raiders.
So we're going to just say that entirely. Unless, I was going to say unless. Let's see here.
We both picked the Raiders, as we said in the last podcast. So we're both 0-1 on that one. Bills-Patriots. I think we both kind of felt the Bills were going to win it. Even if I was cheering for the Patriots. Yeah. And Bills are currently up 20-0 as of when we're recording.
Yeah, still going for Bills. Let's go.
Buffalo will probably win. But our other games, we got Cowboys, 49ers. I'm taking 49ers in that one.
Okay, dang. I should have called them first. I guess I'll get the Cowboys.
Okay. Then we got Rams versus Cardinals.
Rams.
Rams? Okay, then I got the Cardinals.
Good.
We have...
You want to pull up the list so we remember?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
All right, who else do we have? So the Bills,
Eagles, Bucks.
Yep.
Eagles, Bucks. Definitely Bucks.
Okay, then I guess I'll get the Eagles. There's also the Steelers and Chiefs.
That's definitely Chiefs.
All right, I guess I get the Steelers.
I mean, you can pick the same team. We don't have to pick different
teams.
No,
we are going to compete against each other.
Okay.
And then we'll reset the following week if both of your teams are facing each other.
Oh. Yeah, I see what you're doing. Okay. And then the two teams with buys were the Titans and Packers.
Yeah, go. I call dibs on Packers no matter what.
Okay. So right now the AFC is going to be Titans, and that'll be a Dom team. And then the Bengals have advanced, which is no one's team.
Yeah.
The Bills are probably going to advance, which is a no one's team. Then winner of Steelers Chiefs will get the other spot. The NFC will be Packers, which is Brett, and then the other three spots aren't determined yet.
Yep, we will find out and keep everyone up to date.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of have an idea. Keep that up.
What's your Super Bowl prediction?
Packers. Done.
Versus...
Let's see here. Who's in the... I always get confused because
We got Titans, Bengals, Bills, Steelers, and Chiefs. And potentially the Patriots if they mount a comeback.
Oh, no. I don't want... You know what? I'm going to just say the Chiefs for some reason.
Brett feels Chiefs, Packers?
Yep. Or Chiefs, anyone else. But I feel like the Packers because, gotta go Pack.
Mm-hmm. I also think the Chiefs are going to come out 3 straight years, but in the NFC, I'm saying 49ers.
Okay.
49ers not only going to be upset Dallas, but the 49ers are going to go out and make it to the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's some crazy predictions there.
Yeah. Taking big swings.
Swinging it out.
Hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but hey, whatever. Yeah, is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so, but I do believe we are running out of time.
Running out of time.
Wow. I'm just trying to inform you.
I'm just trying to inform you.
What are you, a child?
Yes. No.
Yeah, Vikings didn't get in. Has to retaliate.
Yeah. But the Vikings fired their head coach, which I'm also not super awesome about. But whatever. They'll hopefully pick up a young offensive guy like Kellen Moore or Kevin O'Connell. Hopefully not Todd Bowles. That's the only guy that they've interviewed so far that I'm like, not him. I don't like Todd Bowles. I don't want that.
I hope they get him now.
There's 7 guys they've interviewed. Offensive guys, defensive guys. I'm fine with either. Prefer the young offensive dude, but could do either. I just really don't want Bowles.
All right.
Any closing thoughts for us, Brett?
Make sure you guys check us out. Keep in tune. Hopefully we can get you more updates in the future. Love to talk about this more. And I believe it's going to be a very fun, exciting next coming few weeks when it comes to sports news.
Will the lockout end? Will the playoffs go well for our teams? Tune in to find out, because we control whether the lockout ends or not.
We control everything, apparently.
Your baseball fandom is in our hands.
In only our hands. So, two idiots, you know it's not going to end well.
Manfred doesn't have anything on us. And even if he did, he wouldn't even suspend us. So,
well, this is Brett.
Yeah, and this was Dawn.
You guys have a fantastic week.
Yep.